It's the final match day of the Champions League phase, and we're here to break it all down for you from a betting perspective. Plenty to play for and plenty to get to on this Pinnacle FC episode 24 Champions League style. If you don't subscribe already, please do hit that button and smash the like button as well while you are there. Gareth Wheeler, Jake Osgathorpe with you as we navigate our way through what should be a really fun Wednesday. It's going to play out 3 p.m. local time in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, where I reside, 8 p.m. In terms of where Jake resides in the beautiful city of Manchester, England. This group phase has been great. I think it's been a resounding success. Jake, 36 teams. Only 2 teams have punched their ticket beyond the knockout round playoff stage, so the top 8 get a bye through this, what should be a really difficult 2 games to navigate for all of the teams involved in that competition. Teams through ninth place to 24 will then go to the knockout stage, and the rest are eliminated. And right now, there's only 3 teams on the outside looking in from those top 24 spots that mathematically have a chance to move on to the next round. One of those sides, incredibly, is Manchester City. Dinamo Zagreb and Shakhtar Donetsk are the only teams beyond the 24 still with a chance. Liverpool and Barcelona have locked up a top 8 spot, and Arsenal and Inter Milan have locked down a seeded position in the knockout tie from in the next phase of the competition. Everything else to play for. So what are you expecting, and what really is on the line come Wednesday for all these sides competing to move on in this competition, Jake?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm expecting a bit of an anticlimax. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but the way in which the draw's been made in terms of the matches is that the seeded teams, the top seeded teams before the schedule was drawn, were drawn against the bottom seeded teams. So pot 1 versus pot 4 in the final match day, which means that you've got some teams like obviously Barcelona, they were in pot 2, but if you look at Inter Milan, who do need a point, they've got Monaco, a very favourable draw. Atletico Madrid get to go to Salzburg. Bayern Munich get Slovan Bratislava. Real Madrid play against Brest. So you've got quite a few matches that look very uneven. Even Bayer Leverkusen, who were top seed after winning the Bundesliga, they've got Sparta Prague, and they're currently 8th. So they're at that cut-off point of the top 8, and they need a win to guarantee top 8, and they've got a nice draw. So I do think it could be a bit anticlimactic, where there's quite a lot of the big teams, the big favourites, do end up getting a win. And even Manchester City, who were obviously pot 1 as well, they get a home game against Club Brugge to kind of salvage the Champions League season. So I'm a little bit worried that might be the case. I don't know if there'll be as much jeopardy as what we think, because it looks as though there's only really going to be 2 places in the top 8 up for grabs. One, if you think that Bayer Leverkusen are going to get the job done, and unless AC Milan, have a mare against Zagreb, it might be 2. But you've got a queue of teams in behind. But I do think it's worth just pointing out that in terms of the playoff seedings and where that goes, unlike, it would be so simple, wouldn't it, to follow the American model and have team who finishes 9th play team who finishes 24th, and that's kind of what's happened. But they're doing it as 1 of 9 or 10 will play 1 of 23 or 24. So rather than keeping it simple, they're actually complicating it a little bit, and it means that they get to do a big grand draw. And it means that, as it stands, it'd be Villa Monaco would play either Sporting or Stuttgart, and they do a big draw for that. And it works all the way down. So obviously, the higher up you finish in the playoff spot, the chances are you're going to get a slightly better draw. That could all be rubbish if Manchester City do make it in, and then they're down in 22nd or 21st. And then the importance of finishing the top 8 as high as you can as well is that the same draw principles apply for the next round. So Liverpool and Barcelona, if they're the top 2, they'll play the 2 lowest ranked teams left in the competition. So according to those seeds, which again could be a spanner in the works if Man City sneak in and they're quite low down in the table. So yeah, that's all there is to play for. And then there's obviously the money stuff, which I don't know how much that's going to motivate people, but any single win in this competition it earns the club 2.1 million euros. So for teams like Zagreb, like Shakhtar, it's quite a lot of money. So they'll be playing, even if they're not eliminated, Red Star, Sturm Graz, they're playing for money and in that regard, and also finishing higher up the table as well as getting a better draw potentially. Every place that you finish is about 275,000 euros. So if you jump 5 spots in the final match day, you're picking up an extra 1.5 million euros, which again, for certain clubs is not a lot of money, but clubs like Brest, clubs like Bruges, it could be quite important. So there's still a lot on the line. I still think that it's been a success, but yeah, I have a feeling that the teams that are in the top 8, I feel like 7 of them are going to stay there by the end of the end of the day, and then it is just a case of if Atalanta can get a win at Barcelona, which I won't put anybody off backing them.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I wish things were more straightforward, where teams were more rewarded for their position, where they finish in playing a lower seed. And I know that the likes of City and PSG have thrown that maybe into the blender a little bit about what that matters. I just think the football world loves their draw ceremonies and some C-list artist that comes on for way too long. And it's just, I'm done with the draw. Let's just get on with the football. That's the best way of putting it. I do think the top 8 provides a whole lot of intrigue, as well as teams that are in danger, or at least in a position of vulnerability to potentially drop out, which includes PSV, Club Brugge, Benfica, PSG, Sporting, and Stuttgart, who all find themselves in vulnerable positions. So let's get after it. Let's get to it with some of the biggest and best games and the plays that we would like to make. All of our markets that we use are courtesy of Pinnacle, BetSmart, Bet Pinnacle. Where do you want to start, Jake? Because there's games that we like, and then there's games of extreme relevance as well. So I'll hand things off to you where you want to take this, and then I'll follow your lead.
Yeah, I want to go to the my favourite bet of the week, really, and it also features one of the teams that have a bit of something on the line. Leverkusen at home to Sparta Prague. Like I said, Leverkusen need a win, and even a win might not be enough for them to finish in the top 8, depending on, if Villa beat Celtic by 3 goals and Leverkusen only win by 1, then Villa would go ahead on goal difference. Even then, Leverkusen could still get in. So basically, Leverkusen know they need to go and get a win. They're playing a Sparta Prague team who are already eliminated. And I think the bet for me here is pretty simple. It's just Leverkusen win to nil, minus 121. Looks a big price, that, given that Leverkusen are extremely short just to win the game, and have won all 3 of their home games to nil so far in this competition. They've beaten both Inter and Milan and Salzburg, and I think obviously the 2 aforementioned teams, the Milan sides, are better teams than what Sparta are. Sparta have lost 2 of their 3 away games, conceding nearly 2 expected goals against per game. They've already been hammered by good teams, 5-0 by Man City, 6-0 by Atletico, and I think Leverkusen will prove too strong, do their job, get into the top 8, and do so with another clean sheet.
It's my favorite bet of the week. It's number 1 on my list, minus 121. I'll take it all day. You're following my lead with these win to nils, and this is a perfect spot. Leverkusen haven't had a clean sheet in their last 3, but in recent weeks, they've had a clean sheet at home against Mainz, who's a good attacking team. Inter, 2 match days ago in the Champions League. The Sparta Prague team did play Inter last round of the Champions League, lost 1-0 at home, just a 0.36 XG in that game. Their domestic season just picking up on the weekend, and they find themselves in 3rd place, and this game doesn't really mean anything for them. So it's a perfect spot for Leverkusen, and I think you're still getting some good value at minus 121. Good start, Jake. Like-minded in our approach there. What else are you looking at?
Another team that are in the top 8 that need a win to guarantee that is Atlético Madrid. So they're on 15 points. So they've got a 2-point cushion to Villa. A point would be enough, because there's quite a few results and permutations that could go their way. But Atletico need to go there to Salzburg, get a win. And it's a Salzburg team that, again, have been eliminated. They have been absolutely battered from pillar to post every time they've played a good team. They've lost by 2 or more goals in all of their 6 defeats. They've won once against Feyenoord, but all 6 defeats have been by 2 or more goals. And I think that's the avenue to attack again. Atletico Madrid, minus 1.5 on the handicap, plus 104. I think Salzburg have conceded the 2nd most goals in the competition, 23 so far this Champions League, and they've conceded the 2nd most expected goals as well, 2.47 per game. So Atletico Madrid should have plenty of opportunity to score 2 or 3 goals. And yeah, the last away game, Atletico Madrid went to Sparta Prague, a team who are being better than Salzburg, and they've absolutely hammered them 6-0. So I do fancy Atletico Madrid to go and get the job done pretty convincingly at Salzburg. I think the 2 teams that they've played are probably of a similar level. are Slovan Bratislava and Sparta Prague, and they cover the handicap in both of those games. So quite confident they can go to Salzburg again, who have nothing to play for, and get a big victory.
Okay, nothing for me here, but I sense a theme here. Teams that need to win against bad teams who aren't playing for anything. Are you going to continue down that path, Jake?
No, I'm not actually. I'm going to take an opposite approach. I'm going to take an opposite approach, yeah, because one of my next bets that I like is actually Sporting Lisbon versus Bologna. Bologna are already eliminated. They are playing for nothing other than cash money. Sporting Lisbon, they realistically need a point to get in. Yeah, obviously the PSG Stuttgart game is interesting. I think you're going to touch on that one, but a point should be enough for Sporting because their goal difference is better than Zagreb's. But ultimately, they need to win. But I don't think Bologna are going to roll over. I mean, they showed last week against Dortmund when they were already eliminated as well. They're more than capable of bloodying the nose and causing an upset. 1-2-1 against Dortmund. And I think this game is actually priced on need as opposed to ability, because if you look at expected goals data across the Champions League, Bologna have actually put up better data than Sporting. Their XGD per game is at minus 0.22, Sporting's at minus 0.4. And then you factor in that Bologna have lost just once in their last 12 matches, which includes a 0-0 draw at Sporting City rivals Benfica in this competition. And I think that Bologna on the handicap, plus 1.25, is a very, very solid play at minus 108. I think even if Bologna do lose, I'd be surprised if it's by two or more goals. Pretty much every one of their Champions League games has been extremely tight either way. I think they've lost twice by 2 goals, and that was against Liverpool and Aston Villa away from home. But other than that, every game has been within a 1-goal margin. So I would be very surprised if Sporting hammered them here.
Nothing for me here, but I just feel these are two clubs going in different directions. Sporting now dealing with the loss of their manager a couple months ago. It hasn't been straightforward necessarily, changing a manager again in the process. And Bologna, they just made so many changes over the course of the summer that they really didn't hit the ground running. It was a slow start, but now I feel like they're in a much better place overall. Okay, let's deal with some games of significant consequences. You mentioned Stuttgart and PSG. I think it's worthwhile looking into this. Both sides are on 10 points. PSG, that resounding 4-2 victory over Man City last time out. Stuttgart lost on the weekend. Thank you very much. Backing Mainz was the logical play because, I mean, they put all their eggs in this Champions League basket, at least in terms of this week and their approach. Both PSG and Stuttgart, that is, made changes over the weekend. 4 changes to the Stuttgart side, 5 to PSG. PSG drew Stade Reims on the weekend as well. So both had eyes on this game. PSG hasn't lost in 12 and no clean sheet over their last 5. They continually play to the over, as do Stuttgart. 4 wins in a row ahead of the loss on the weekend, but they've been an overside in 7 of their last 10 and over at home in 5 of their last 6. The line here is set at 2.5 at plus 109, which is calling my name. Like, I feel like that's the smart play to make, with the exception of a scenario where a draw could suit both these teams fine.
A draw,
and that's why.
Yeah, a draw will suit both, because I think if they draw, Zagreb have to win by 7 goals against AC Milan.
Something ridiculous, yes.
Which is just not really. So a point is going to be enough for both teams, which is why I don't know on Pinnacle the draw is actually the favourite in the 1x2 plus 151, which will be why the goal total is low. But
that's why. But but it also depends on the way that the game plays out. The draw is fine, but you know that these sides just. The way that the game will start, I feel, will look a lot different than the way it finishes. So I'm not going to make an official play. I just wanted to bring it up just based upon what's on the line here. If you like the total, because these are two attack-minded sides, Jake, just in terms of naturally the way they play, especially Stuttgart. Just a first half total in the over is the one that I would lean to. The 2.5 is really tempting, and I can see why some might make the play. I'm just going to play it a little bit safe and not go there. I'm not sure if you have any other thoughts there, because, I mean, the other game, Man City against Club Brugge, another one, City's on the outside looking in. They're a 2-goal favorite on the handicap. It seems a big number. I understand it's Man City at home and they're coming off a good win against Chelsea on the weekend. This Club Brugge side have no losses in their last 20 games, and they need some kind of result to ensure their position as well. They're comfortable, but it's not a lock. I think they can keep this close. Absolutely. They made 8 changes on the weekend, and they drew that game and whatever, because they knew going to the Etihad this week, the Etihad this weekend is everything for them. Club Brugge also expected goals against away in the Champions League, just 2.6. That's the second best in this competition as well. I just think that City are just way too big of a favorite here. I play Bruges on the handicap +2 at +108. I take Bruges to score against City. Like, every game, City just looks so vulnerable defensively. Over half a goal at -105. If you like Bruges to score rather than that being your play, both teams to score, yes, at +101 is probably the better way to go in this game. But the line in this game is based upon reputation, and I don't think it's about current performance.
Yeah, I definitely toyed with the idea of Bruges on the handicap. The only thing that put me off is that they've, so far in the Champions League and generally across that 20-match unbeaten run, they haven't played an attacking team that's anywhere near the capabilities of what City have got. And they've started to show a bit more consistency in attack, City, of late. I know they had that wobble at PSG, but they showed bits going forward at the very least. Away from home, Bruges have played Sturm Graz, Milan, Celtic. At home, they played Juventus, they played Aston Villa. Who else have they played? Dortmund and Sporting Lisbon. So they've not really played an attack that has the high-end ceiling that Man City does. So that's the only thing that scares me a bit about taking a pro Bruges bet. Admittedly, they are very, very sound defensively. So if I was to push to make a play, I'd probably go to take the under 3.5 goals. I think the line's pretty high. When City only need a victory, a controlled victory at that, and Bruges need a narrow defeat would be enough. I think if they lost 2-0, for example, Zagreb would have to win 4-0 against Milan, which again seems very unlikely. So yeah, I probably would lean towards the under 3.5, but no official play.
Kind of like both teams to score as my favorite play in this game. I just the way that City defend, I simply can't trust them. Solis, the left-sided player, the Greek international, I mean, he's electric. I just look at City defending, especially down that right side. Jake, they're really vulnerable for me. So I think that Bruges have a goal in this game.
John Stones plays this one, doesn't he? He'll come in and play this one.
Perhaps he didn't play over the weekend, so perhaps that's it. All right, let's go to the other. I mean, this is a marquee fixture in every sense of the word. It's Barcelona and Atalanta, and the two most attack-minded sides in the Champions League as well. Atalanta, number 1 in expected goals. Barcelona, number 3. I believe the total set at 3.5 for this game. Barcelona have locked down a top 8 spot. Atalanta need a result to then go on and finish in the top 8 as well. How are you looking at this game? Like, Barcelona, remember, they're 3rd place in La Liga right now. They're behind Real Madrid, still even 3 points behind Atlético Madrid. They play Alaves on the weekend. This game wouldn't be of the highest priority if I'm Barcelona right now. And for Atalanta, I think that much more is on the line. And after a really rough patch when they were playing some really good teams, they just have picked up where they left off before. And they look a really complete outfit, don't they? So I'm curious how you feel about this game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an explosive game. I think there's going to be loads of goals. Maybe not as many as we saw last week with Barcelona, where it was 5-4, but something like that. Just because Atalanta are in a position where, like, to me, they're the most vulnerable of the top 8 going into the final round because they are on 14 points. There's 5 teams queued up in between 9th and 13th on 13 points that could overtake them. So even if Atalanta draw, there's 5 teams there that if they win, they go above Atalanta. That's not to mention that if they lose and Bayern Munich win 8-0 or something like that, which is not beyond the realms of possibility against Slovan Bratislava, then again, another team could finish above them. So they could really drop like a stone if they don't get a victory. So they're going to have to go for it, basically, is what I'm saying. They're going to have to go and try and beat Barcelona. That winning against Barcelona is the only thing that guarantees them finishing the top 8. And again, it'd be massively important for them. monetary wise, but also just having a couple of midweeks off while everyone else is playing. I think that's probably more important for these teams with the incredible schedules that we now have in modern day football. And yeah, Barcelona, you'd think that they just roll over, but they made wholesale changes at the weekend. They arrested everybody, all the starters. They brought them on late on as substitutes.
Lewandowski was on them. Yeah.
So they obviously have an eye on this game to take it seriously. And if Atalanta do, overcommit, which they're going to have to do, Barcelona are built for playing on the counter attack and winning these high scoring games. So I'd be shocked if this is a low scoring contest. I'm happily going to take the over 3.5. I think it's probably a quarter of a goal too low, given what both teams have shown in attack. They are the two best attacking teams in the league, in the Champions League stage, according to expected goals. And yeah, it's, in my opinion, it looks like it's win or bust for Atalanta, so they're going to be hell for leather.
Just want to mention Atalanta 3-0-0, 3 wins from 3 away from home in the Champions League. They have the best expected goals against away from home in the Champions League, and they have the best XG. The one thing I know about Barcelona, I don't care who plays, they can't defend, Jake. It's I want to say intentional. They're not trying to be poor defensively, but it's just based upon their style of play. So I don't care who they play on the weekend. Atalanta team total of 1.5 at plus 126 is way short. I don't get it. That it's going to be part of my podium bets this weekend as well. Atalanta team total over 1.5 at plus 126. Thank you very much. I don't have much more to say about that. A really good attacking side in a game that matters, taking on a team that can't defend and is probably comfortable in their standing. That works for me. Any final plays that you want to get off your chest? I do have a couple more I want to get to, but I'll allow you to go first.
Yeah, thanks. I've got one more, and it's in the Girona versus Arsenal game. Mm-hmm. Girona under 0.5 goals at plus 158. Girona have scored 4 goals in 7 Champions League matches. They failed to score in 5 of 7. Arsenal conceded just 2 of 7. 2 goals in 7, keeping clean sheets in 5 of 7 as well. The best expected goals against per game of any team left in the competition. A point guarantees Arsenal top 8. A win, season finishing 3rd, maybe even higher, depending on the Barcelona result. And Girona have nothing to play for. The only reason I was taking the Girona under as opposed to win to 0 is because I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal just a little bit jaded. They've had a big, busy schedule. Might be one of those games that peters out to a 0-0 draw, where draw's a pretty good result for Arsenal. So just taking Girona not to score, which I think will be the priority for Arsenal and Arteta, because that would definitely see them qualify. I think that's the way to take that one.
Yeah, I'm on the under 2.75. I'm surprised it's not 2.5, to be honest with you, at minus 108. Arsenal just 2 goals conceded away from home in the Champions League. No losses in 5. We'll wait on the status of Odegaard. If he returns from illness, then he missed out on the weekend. But Girona's score lines in the Champions League: 1-0 loss to AC Milan, 1-0 loss to Liverpool, 1-0 loss to Sturm Graz. They beat Slovan Bratislava 2-0. 1-0 away loss at PSG. It's like, this is what they are. They're just an underside. The only exception, the anomaly, was Feyenoord. So I'm happy just to continue to play the under there. One of my other favorite bets of the weekend is Celtic to fail to score under the team total of half a goal, plus 158 at Aston Villa. Villa 2-1-0 at home in the Champions League and haven't conceded. Bayern Munich, Bologna, and Juventus. The craziest thing about Villa's season, they can't defend away from home. I said it last week, they conceded the early goal to Monaco, but at home this year in the Premier League, just 11.22 expected goals against, away from home 22.78. So the splits are just incredible. And Celtic away from home, they scored a consolation goal in a 7-1 drubbing at Dortmund, 0-0 Atalanta, 0-0 Zagreb. So plus 158, it's just a stepping up in class, and Celtics got the job done. Mission accomplished. They're through to the next round already. So I like Celtic under the team total. And finally, I like PSV on the handicap as they're at home against Liverpool. Liverpool top the table. I think potentially a low scoring game would work for them, but they're playing against a high scoring team in PSV Eindhoven. I heard Arne Slot speak about this a couple weeks ago. I don't think that he really cares about where they finish. It was just all about finishing in the top 8. He even brought it up. Like, we have no idea who we're going to play against. There's too many variables on the line. So now I think it's mission accomplished. They play Bournemouth away on the weekend, which is going to be a difficult tie. They've conceded some cheap goals, and I can see some rotation here from Slot. PSV, familiar with them, the Eredivisie, the Dutch connection there. And they need some kind of result in this game as well. So I think the handicap, you're getting a quarter of a goal at -110. That's in a playable range for me in that one. Anything else, Jake, or do you want to hit up your top 3 bets of the week?
Yeah, let's go top 3. Number 1, Leverkusen to win to 0 versus Sparta, -121. I think that's a very, 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 very good price. I will take Atletico Madrid to cover the handicap against Salzburg, number 2 at +104. And then for a bigger price, I'll take Girona not to score against Arsenal at +158.
Brilliant. Number 1, Leverkusen, win to 0 over Sparta Prague, exact same as you, -121. Atalanta, team total at Barcelona, a goal and a half at +126. And Celtic to fail to score their team total under half a goal at +158 against the Villa, who I should also mention are playing for something. There's an outside chance that they can come away with a top 8 spot, results pending this week as well. All right, that's all for us. Remember to bet smart, bet Pinnacle. Please hit the subscribe button, like button as well. On behalf of Jake, I'm Gareth Wheeler. We'll be back midweek to look ahead to the weekend fixtures across Europe's top and best leagues. Good luck, everyone, and enjoy the final match day of the Champions League phase.